Good morning, everyone. And I'm facing some bit of problem as far as live streaming part is concerned. But I don't know whether audio or video is reaching to. Since I'm new to this particular platform, so I'm exactly not sure whether this video is going live or not. But if it is live, it's fine. If it is not, then probably. So I'm exactly not sure whether if it is going live, then it's fine. If not, then probably what we can do is uh, we can record and upload it, something like that, because technologically I'm not good enough as far as this live streaming is concerned. This is I'm doing for the first time, so let me see. I mean, I don't know how to know that whether it's going live or not, but I believe that it might be. If not, then probably I'll you know record it and then share it on YouTube, something like that. So bear with me. I'm so sorry, and धीरे धीरे सीख जाऊंगा, मतलब इस उम्र में थोड़ा इन टेक्नोलॉजीज को सीखना मुश्किल होता है, बट इट्स नॉट सम सॉर्ट ऑफ इम्पॉसिबल काइंड ऑफ थिंग, सो प्रॉब्ली क्या कहूँ मैं अगर होगा लाइव तो ठीक है, नहीं होगा तो कोई बात नहीं, मतलब दो चार गालियां दे लेना और उसके बाद फिर रिकॉर्डेड वाला देख लेना, ऐसा कुछ कर लेंगे, है ना? ठीक है, सो लेट्स होप फॉर द बेस्ट एंड I think without wasting the time we should proceed with this, because whatever the thing may be, I really don't know. So ठीक है, let's go ahead. Now, though it was supposed to start at 11 only, but a couple of minutes delayed because of doing the settings, or in fact learning the settings. I'm very new to this OBS and YouTube and all those things. So just give me time for maybe uh, a day or two, something like that, to learn all these things, because it was very short notice. Day before yesterday, we planned to have a session today, and I mean, within a day, we were not able to prepare the stuffs properly. So if any technical glitches or inconveniences are there, extremely sorry. But if not, then don't worry. Maybe I don't know whether this class is getting recorded or not. But suppose it is getting recorded, then definitely I'll upload it uh, um, with the help of my team, so that you can watch it later on at your convenience. So shall we proceed? I mean, I'm assuming that you are able to see. That's why I'm asking. Shall we proceed? I'm not sure exactly whether you are able to watch it or not. But let's move forward, believing that you are watching it. So I hope you might be able to see the screen, and if yes, then as I told you, today's class we are going to discuss about the orientation program as far as the public administration is concerned, right? So basically, it's related with the optional orientation, right? When we talk about optional orientation or optional subject, then we'll discuss the couple of things, in general for all the optionals, right? So this is something like common discussion. So maybe we can say that common discussion in the sense which is applicable to all the optional, because all the options are equally good. However, this workshop or orientation is in particular, if we talk about, then it is related with the subject which we are going to take. So in particular, it is going to be related with public administration. So first we'll have a general discussion which is applicable for all the optional, and then we'll go for the a specific one related with public administration. I mean, the queries could be how to choose optional, how to select it based upon our educational background and interest, and the availability of resources, the coaching, study material, test series, and so on. And then in particular, why public administration optional could be one of the good optional to start with. And then other things also related with the public administration, like some bit of analysis of the previous year question papers, how the performance or marks of the candidates were there as far as last couple of years are concerned. So every bit of detail we'll discuss today, though I'm not going to convince you to take public administration because all the options are good, as I said. But since I'm taking public administration, that's why I'll brief you in detail about public administration. However, we are not going to emphasize that you opt for public administration. That's your call. You can take any optional. But what are the merits or demerits of our subject, that is public administration? That part definitely we will see today. So let's move on with the discussion part. And when we say that how to choose an optional, or how to go for it, that part we'll discuss in the first part. So how to select, because this is very important, and optional, and why this selection is very important, right? Then from where, how, and so on. Basically, I'm going to answer three types of questions here: WH and WH. Who, what, when, where, why, how of particularly related with the any optional subject, as I told you. So that would be the first part of our agenda today. And the second part we'll discuss about the optional which we are starting with, that is public administration. So maybe this discussion might last for next couple of minutes to maybe 1 hour, 1 hour 30 minutes or so on. So if you're okay, I would request you to attend the complete session. If you're not, that's fine. I mean, as I told you, that we are going to upload it also, or we are going to have it on other platforms. So from there also you can take a look. Now here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to assume that I'm a student, right? I'm coming to prepare for UPSC, and for the first time I'm thinking about an optional, because changing an optional is a sin, right? It's a curse, because once you change your optional, obviously it is just like postponing your success for next 1.5 year cycle, because this whole exam takes 1.5 year to get completed. So basically we are going to run behind our schedule or our success at least 1.5 year or 2 years if we change the optional. So before changing the optional, you know you must think about it, that rather than changing the optional, take some time extra, maybe 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, to decide it finally. And once you have decided to go for a particular optional, let's say XYZ, then stick to it, come what may. Don't change it, because if you are going to change it, nobody else other than you is going to bear the curse of it. Studying a new optional is altogether very, very painful, right? So please don't do that. Now, coming back to selection of the optional, so how to choose the optional or which optional we should go for. So when we talk about, let's say UPSC, just a brief, I'm assuming that all of us are beginners, those who are, you know, the ones who are into the series of preparation or given attempt also, maybe prelims or mains or reached up to interview. For them, it could be a quick revision. But those who are attending it for the first time, let me make them understand it very systematically. It applies to all the category of students, whether you are a fresher or you have some experience of this particular examination. So, as I told you, that this exam would be of two stages. One is prelim stage, other would be written stage, which comprises of two stages, that is mains and interview part. This is a basically one stage only, mains and interview, which is called written test and preliminary test as per UPSC notification. However, general understanding is it's a three-stage examination. People call it first stage, second stage, and third stage, but technically speaking, it's a two-stage examination. Now, when we talk about prelims, initially they're used to have the optional and GS, but when the syllabi change, then now we have GS and CSAT. So there is no role as such of optional is concerned in prelims. Almost in interview also, no role we can say, or one or two questions we can expect. If luckily we got a member who is there in the interview board, belongs to the same optional subject or background which you are appearing for. So the role of optional would be in mains. So in mains, when we talk about GS and optional, what do you have to remember here? GS, all the four papers, 1,000 marks each. Optional, 500 marks, 250 marks each. So if you look at the weightage of the optional, it's almost 50% of the general studies. But in general studies, we have to study four papers, right? And that too in depth, so that we get 250 marks each for all the four papers, clubbing it to be 1,000 marks. But in optional, you have to study two papers, again 250 marks each. So all these papers are of 250 marks each. Now the problem is what? The problem is when we try to compete with GS, almost every student who is writing the mains after qualifying PT, close to 15,000 students will be there. But trust me, those 15,000 students will be very close to each other as far as general studies are concerned. Because here in all the four papers, if you see the aggregate marks, it comes close to 45 to 50%, so roughly about you can say 450 to 500 marks. What is the thing? Thing is that it is the optional which gives an edge to the student, to get a call for the interview. So that's why optionals cannot be taken lightly. And generally, what happens if we go for GS? So in GS, if you score 40 to 45% marks, it is considered to be very good. But to get an interview call in your optional subject, you need to score somewhat 60% marks. So when we say 60% marks plus, means out of 500, whatever your optional is, if you are somewhat 300 plus or close to 330, then you won the game. This is the beauty of the optional. Anything above 300 is a for sure call for you as far as interview is concerned, right? And getting 300 marks is not very difficult. I mean, 60% mark would be the least you might have scored, school or the college exam or the board exam. Only thing is we need to understand how to do that. So the relevance of optional is very high as far as the mains part is concerned. It might not have good role to play in PT part, or may not have a good role to play in interview part, but definitely it has a very, very important and vital role for mains part. I hope you understood this much. So looking at that particular thing, right? When we talk about UPSC had given almost more than 45 optionals, to select one of each. Initially there were two optional, but now you have to go for only one option. So out of those 45 plus optionals, if you select any one, let's say for example XYZ. So the first thing is what should be the criteria to select these particular options. Now, the general trend what people follow is first, they'll look at their educational background. So when we talk about educational background, for example, let's say a student, is from science background, he or may, she or may opt for some science subject, maybe the physics, the chemistry part, or engineering if they have done. So some subjects of engineering is also available. Other some semi-scientific subjects might be like anthropology or geography could be a choice for a science background student. If somebody has done graduation in humanities like history, so after doing the graduation in history, geography, or political science and international relations, one would love to or prefer to, or it is advisable also that he or she should go for these optionals, right? And since all the optionals of UPSC carry equal marks, so we cannot discriminate on this basis. But one thing which could be kept in mind is nothing but look into your educational background. Now, what is the problem when one go for educational background? Let's say I have completed my BA in history, right? Or I have completed my BSc in physics, right? Or I am a, let's say, BCom student. I have completed my graduation in commerce, or subject is, let's say, commerce. When I opt for these optionals, what will happen? If I go for history, if I go for physics, if I go for commerce, etc., etc., what is the big problem we are facing? The problem we are facing is, as far as these optionals are concerned, the approach we had followed in the university, right? So when we have taken the subject in our graduation or post graduation, as far as the answer writing is concerned, that was nothing but related with the university approach. So what is the difference as far as the university approach is concerned? And here we are opting it for what? UPSC. So here the approach has to be UPSC approach. and there we actually get defeated by this choice. That some people suggest that go for those subjects which are what your graduation subject. Yes, agreed, we can go for, but only thing is, are we willing to change our approach also, or still we are writing the answers in the university approach only? And if we are doing so, then I'm sorry to say, even if you're a graduate or a postgraduate in a history or in physics or any other subject for that matter, this university approach will take you nowhere close to UPSC approach. So obviously you can say, what is the difference between the two? Is there any difference? Definitely there is a difference. What is the difference? When we go for university approach, I hope you remember that we have a habit of preparing for the examination at least a week before or sometimes a night before. So today we mug up the things and tomorrow we'll write the answer. But what kind of questions, which are there in the university mode? Generally, those questions are same type, W, H, and WH. That is who, what, when, where, how. Or in simple terms, layman terms, if I say, basically they are objective questions. And when we talk about objective questions, then what? They are basically based upon the facts. And if you can rectify or remember the facts, you'll be able to write the answer. Right? No doubt about it. Less of or minimum analysis is there as far as the university level questions are concerned, because that is not the objective. Their objective is to give you the degree, not the job or not the selection. So that's how those questions, whether it's a board examination or university examination, the approach would be most likely factual in nature or objective in nature. But when it comes to UPSC approach, what is the problem? If you are very lucky, you may find one or two questions with WH or WH. Otherwise, the questions would be discuss, examine, comment, analyze, elucidate, elaborate, explain, critically examine, critically comment. Some of people might not have heard also these words, right? So this is the problem. From WH to WH, we are going for discussion, examine, comment, analyze, elucidate, elaborate, explain, and so on. And there is the twist. There the student is what? In spite of knowing the subject, right? Graduation means 3 year study, still they are not able to write the answer. And this is what the problem which they face in many optionals. So basically the problem is writing the answer. Answer in the sense what? Answer from the UPSC perspective. This is the first thing what they have to keep in mind if somebody is thinking of opting for that subject which he or she has done in the university or the graduation curriculum. You can, right? But think twice before opting for it, because if you are confident enough that you will be able to switch yourself from university approach to UPSC approach, go for those subjects. If not, then stay cautious. So this is the first factor, let's say educational background for any optional. We are not talking about public administration per se, but let it be for any optional. This is what we have to look at. What is the second point? One option is go for those subjects which are graduation subject. Other option is, people say, go for those subjects which are based upon your interest. Now, when we talk about interest based approach, right? So what happens in the interest? Hmm? Interest means you love to study that particular subject. No doubt about it. It may be your graduation subject. It may be your subject which might not been covered in your educational curriculum or graduation curriculum. So there what happens? You are interested. Interested means you like the subject, right? But liking a subject and writing the answer on it are two different things. So if I like the subject, that does not necessarily mean that I'm able to write the subject, or vice versa. If I'm able to write the subject, I may or may not, like the subject. But the main point is what? If I'm having an interest in that subject, I may be able to actually learn this part very easily. But if I'm going without interest, it would be very difficult for me. So, first is the graduation subject. Second, I must have an interest in this. So, when we say interest, what exactly means? Let's say, for example, I have a very good interest in history. I love to read history. But if the questions comes in PT or in mains, I'm not able to write the answer or eliminate the option. So, what is the so good use of that interest? But let's say example, I hate polity, but I'm able to solve the questions which are there in prelims and in mains. Then What? It is good for me. It will give me the marks. It will help me to qualify the successive stages of the examination. So interest is one thing which based upon or depends upon likes and dislikes. It could vary from subject to subject. But the point is, what is your favorite subject or best subject? Not based upon your likes or dislikes, right? Or your interest or no interest. It is based upon how far you are able to actually write or attempt the questions which are there in the examination. So if you're comfortable in the subjects for which you can write the answer comfortably or eliminate the option, go for that particular. Okay. Perfect. Third, people say opt for those subjects which are what? In trend. That is, there are some trending subjects in the UPSC. I don't know who decides the trend, but some people say that there are some trending subjects. Like, for example, to quote, some people may say that this particular year geography was very trending. Many questions were. At some particular year, sociology might be very trending. At some particular year, PSIR might be very trending, etc. etc. What is the meaning of trending? Third point here, what you have to keep it. UPSC actually have only one trend. So basically, UPSC is following only one trend. And what is the trend of UPSC if you analyze? No trend. So the answer is no trend. UPSC do not follow any point of or any type of trend. It is the coaching institutions and the other facilitators. They have created that hype as far as the trend is concerned. Yes or no? So there is no trending. If there is a trending subject, there is no need to give more than 40 plus optional subjects list in the notification. They could have given one only. So for UPSC, what is the trending subject? Only one trend, and that is no trend, no trending subject. Now, you people are young enough, you might not understand, but if we say, during the late 90s and early first decade of 21st century, some subjects were at peak. Some subjects were like, very small, like Pali literature. People used to take it, 200-page notes, attempt all the questions. Questions were also repeated. But UPSC ultimately removed that. So, we cannot fix the trend of UPSC, what actually UPSC is going to do. Okay, trending may be based upon some analysis, like for example, number of students selecting from that subject or number of students appearing from that subject, right? What is the average marks they are getting? So it based upon the selection part, it based upon the appeared candidate, it based upon the number of marks and so on. But that's temporary. It can change for any attempt. Let's say for this attempt, PSIR may be a very good option. But for next, socio may be turn out to be a very good option. For the next year, anthropology may be a good option. So we cannot ride the tide until we are not sure about it. So that is the one thing you have to keep it in mind. So I hope you are able to understand. I'm going step by step. The first part is nothing but while selecting the optional, think about your educational background, but keep it in mind university to UPSC approach what you have to follow. Second, it could be based upon your interest, but again, you must be very comfortable in writing, right? Because if you are interested in, let's say, studying the social issues, family, marriage, kinship, and all those things. But when the question comes on family, marriage, kinship, and all those things, you're not able to write. They are open-ended questions. Anybody can write anything on those issues. So you have to be cautious enough. You need a very good articulation skill to write the answer. Then only we can say, go for your interest-based subject. Trending subject, nothing called trending, but only thing that trending subject is what? The one in which you have the interest, plus it is there in your educational background, and most importantly, you are able to write the answer. Is that clear? Great. Then, what is the fourth parameter we need to understand when we talk about choosing any particular option? It's nothing but availability of resources, right? So, when we talk about availability of resources, now what do you mean by availability of resources? When we say availability of resources, the enough amount of study material must be available for that particular subject. Because suppose I had opted for a subject, right? And I'm not getting any resource for that. For example, let's say I opted for maths optional, right? And nobody is there to teach me mathematics. So what's the use? Or, you know, availability of the, suppose you are interested in doing a classroom program. So the classes must be available, the teachers must be available, the books must be available, etc. So this is also one factor which we have to keep it in mind. Now, very few people might be teaching mathematics or science subjects like physics, or let's say somebody opting for economic option. Economics is a good subject, but only thing is we might have a limited number of teachers or institutions providing the coaching for that. So you have to look into that also, that where possibly you'll be able to understand, or where possibly you'll be able to get the enough amount of resources, so that for a particular topic, if you're not understanding from a particular book, you can refer to other reference book. But what if there are no books only available, or very few are available? So that availability of resources is also one factor which you need to keep it in mind. Now, apart from availability of resources, the next point is very important. What? Your own analysis before choosing the option. Now, this is very important. This is irrespective of the first 4 points we have discussed, and how to do the analysis, or how to zero in for a particular option that I want to select XYZ. So, as a student, if I think, then as a student, I may have what? Random choices. Why? One choice is based upon my graduation subjects. I can opt for this particular subject. Other is based upon interest. Other, as I told you, the trending subject. Some seniors and UPSC gurus and babas have told me to take that, etc., etc. So here I'm trying to get ABC as my optional. Here I'm trying to get PQR as my optional. Here I'm trying to think about LMN as my optional. So I'm changing my thoughts very rapidly, or I'm confused that out of these three, which one I should take. And this problem might be there with almost all the students, those who are trying to select an optional at the first place. So what is the best analysis for this? How we can come out to zero in to get one optional? Very simple. Just do this particular exercise. Take a week's time, or 3-4 days time to analyze. And what do you have to analyze? Two things. One, you have to take the syllabus. Other, you have to take the previous year question papers. So let's say you are confused between three subjects: ABC, PQR, LMN, or anything else also if you want XYZ. So you're confused in these four optionals, that which one you should take, because these four are depending upon your graduation, interest, availability of resources, trending nature, and so on. What you have to do, you have to take the syllabus of all these four optionals. So this is the analysis you have to do. First, you have to get the syllabus of this, read all the topics of the syllabus, and while reading, what you have to do, when you actually analyze the syllabus, then keep underlining or highlighting, those topics or subtopics which are familiar to you, and note their number. Let's say in ABC, there are 400 topics, and out of that, there are 132 topics which you know at least. You might not be knowing the deeper insights of that topic, but at least you have heard them. Similarly, let's say this also have 400. I mean, just a random number we are taking. These are having 400 topics in their each respective subjects, out of which in this 132, in some subject 180, in 175, or 200, something like that. A data will come to you. So based upon that, go for the maximum one. Let's say, for example, in XYZ, you are getting more than 200 topics which you know or heard at least about them, or you might have studied them in your school or college. Then open the PYQs. PYQs, not more, but of last 2 or 3 years. So last 2-3 years PYQ is more than enough, right? And when we say more than enough, means what? For analysis purpose, not for preparation purpose. So last 2-3 years PYQ, each paper, each optional will have two papers, and let's say each paper is having 25 to 30 questions, right? So in all, let's say every optional have around 50 questions. Out of that 50 question, try to see how many you are able to solve. Let's say from ABC, in last 3 years, if there are 50 questions, then probably you are able to solve, let's say 12 plus questions without seeing or studying or referring any notes. Similarly, for PQR, you are able to solve, let's say, for example, 13 question or 14 question, and so on. Like that, collect the data and then see that which one out of ABC, PQR, LMN you are getting maximum number of questions which you can at least know or write, or you have some information on them which you can write. And then based upon that, you start zero. And slowly and gradually, you will reach to your subject. So let's say for some student, it could be LMN as their optional. Some student, it could be PQR. And accordingly, you can follow the other things, that whether you have an interest in that or not. If you have an interest, whether you're able to write or not. If you are able to write, whether you have the resource availability or not, and so on. So this framework is what basically I'm trying to tell you, that here, while selecting the optional, you have to be very cautious. Even if it takes a week or two to decide about your optional, please do that. But once you have selected, then do not go for changing the optional come what may. Is that clear? Perfect. So this was, let's say, sort of first part of the discussion. Now, our orientation class today is with the agenda of discussing one of those 40 plus optional, that is public administration. Right. So why public administration? What could be the advantage and disadvantage, and so on. Now, when we talk about public administration, why we should choose it as an optional. So I'll give you a couple of points, and from that you'll be able to analyze the things. Now, first and foremost, when we talk about public administration, you just focus upon the second word, administration, right? And when we say administration, is nothing but this is the only optional in the whole list of UPSC optional which contains this word, administration. So you may say, why you are emphasizing so much on that? Because actually you are getting into administrative services, right? When we say we are applying for UPSC civil services examination, or popularly called IAS exam, what is IAS? Indian Administrative Services. And I'm getting into the services without having any knowledge of administration by selecting optionals, other than the public administration. That means what? We are blank here. So we are getting into administrative services, and we don't want to study the administration at the first part. So the beauty of this optional is what? This optional is nothing but it will give you detailed insights of administration right from micro to macro level. You might have heard about a term called bureaucracy. You might have heard about a term called collectors, magistrate, police officers, commissioners, how they work, secretaries, what is the meaning of secretariat, how our the political leaders or executive, right from the president of India, till the secretary to a particular department or ministry, how they work. All these things would be crystal clear when we talk about public administration as an optional. So it will talk about the administrative services or administration, which is what a key factor for this particular exam. So this could be one reason you can say that why we are emphasizing upon this particular option. Second, when we talk about public administration, this is a kind of optional which prepares you for pre-entry level preparation to post-entry level preparation. Now, what is pre-entry and post-entry? Pre-entry means until unless you are not qualifying UPSC, that is UPSC exam. So here, the part before, that is, as I've told you, it will help you in mains. So public administration optional in mains, that is before entering into the services. Once you qualify, then you'll go for training. Let's say you're going for Masuri, LBSNA, or SVB, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and so on. So point here is what? Whenever you get into the services, what happens? There also you have to undergo a training program, right? And this training program is not of a day or two, popularly known as foundation course. Basically, it's a almost 30-month long course, which includes many things like your field training, your budding, your working in a collectorate office under his or her guidance. So, a couple of things are there. But under this 30 months program, almost for 24 months, you will be studying. So, in Masuri, it's just like another school or class. There would be 4 semesters, which will be conducted none other than by UPSC. So for some people it might be a new information, but UPSC conducts your exam before entry in the form of mains, prelims, and interview. And once they actually recommend the list to the ministry, when ministry selects you on the basis of rank, IAS, IPS, IRS, and so on, then you are sent to training institutions like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Police Academy. So if you are into IPS, if you are into IAS, LPSNA, right, like that. If you are into forest services, then Dehradun Forest Service Institute or Indira Gandhi Institute. So point is, some or the other training institute will be sent for. And there what happened? Again there, the UPSC will conduct a 6 month semester, that is four semester in all in 30 months training, and there also will get marks. And based upon the marks obtained here, your final rank, let's say you are a UPSC topper, you will get IAS. So like you, there will be 100 plus people who will get IAS, but not everybody would be posted in an equivalent rank, right? So it will depend upon how many marks you have got actually in Masuri also. And here, when we talk about the marks, it is must to pass this. If you fail, again you have to go for foundation course. But the big thing is, what are the subjects which are taught in this training program? So the subjects which are taught in this training program are what? Here you'll study about law. Here you'll study about economics. Here you'll study about administration. Here study about the current development or current affairs. You are not going to talk about history, geography, anthropology, sociology, and subjects like that. So if you look into here, the maximum emphasis would be given on administration because you are going to be placed as a bureaucrat in administrative services. So public administration will not help you only at the pre-entry level, but even it is going to help you at the post-entry level as far as your training programs are concerned. So this is the second benefit. First, it's the only option which teaches you about the administrative aspects of our bureaucracy. Second, it is helpful not only at the pre-entry stage but also at the post-entry stage. Right? Then, what is the third advantage? Now, third advantage of this, when we talk about public administration as an optional, is what? The syllabus part, right? And its coverage plus the marking scheme. So I'll brief you about these three. When we talk about optional, let it be any optional, right? All of them are for 500 marks. So if I have to score something out of 500 marks, obviously I can take a subject which is very lengthy or which has a very huge syllabus. And I can take a subject which is slightly short, right? Because ultimately all the subject, whether it's shorts or whether it's long subject, I'm going to get 500 marks only. No doubt about it. Yes or no? So when we talk about the length, here length means we are talking about syllabus. Now, when we talk about syllabus, we have taken a subject where it has, let's say, more than 600 plus units, which we have to study. You have opted for a syllabus for a particular option which has only, let's say, 250 units. Which one is more easy and comfortable to cover? Obviously, the one which has lesser number of units because we have to have that particular information. See, this exam or optional selection is not for pursuing your PhD or higher studies. It is just to have the understanding of the topic so that you can write the answer. So when we talk about public administration, as far as the syllabus is concerned, all the optionals will have two papers. Here also we have two papers, paper one and paper two. And when we talk about paper one and paper two, then very simple. Paper one have 12 units and paper two have 14 units. That means we have to prepare 26 units. Right? That means overall syllabus of public administration is divided into 26 units or you can say 26 chapters. As simple as that. Right? Obviously. Now, when we talk about this 26 units, the point is how much coverage we have to get for that. So, the beauty of this subject is what? Out of this 26 units. Now, one thing is very clear. One thing is very clear. It's some glitch again. Just give me a minute, please. Okay. Now I think it's working. So what I was saying was, the coverage part. So when we talk about coverage, then this 26 units will give me the coverage of 500 marks. No doubt about it. This is how we are going to do it. Yes or no? But out of this 26 units, the good part in public administration is there are only 9 units which gives me the coverage of more than 300 plus marks. So that is one. And this 9 units, when our approach will talk about, we'll take it from what? Two papers. Paper 1 and paper 2. And popularly in my class, I called it what? A P5 plus G4 strategy. P5 is like permanent 5 members of UNSC. G4 is group of 4 chapters. So 5 chapters from paper 1. Right, I'll tell you about them. Like for example, we have to start with the introduction chapter. Then we have to think, go for thinkers or administrative thoughts. What we call so administrative thinkers, administrative behavior, accountability and control, and the financial administration. So these are the 5 topics, right, or 5 chapters. Plus in G4, here we are going to get the, let's say the first, union government and administration known as UGA, state government and administration SGA, district administration and local government, plus last but not the least, again with the financial management. Right. So this financial management we clubs with financial administration so that it becomes one unit. And as far as UG, SGA, DA, and LG, that is Union Government Administration, State Government Administration, District Administration, and Local Government becomes what? Collectively the G4 part. And only this 9 topics, they give me the coverage of what? 300 plus marks. And this we can see in every year's UPSC mains question paper. So for 26 topics, the 9 are the one where we have to focus a lot because we'll get the coverage over 300 plus marks. And for remaining 200 marks, right, then we have to study the remaining topics of public administration, that is 17 chapters or 17 units. So initially our focus would be on P5 and G4 and then we'll have a coverage of 17 units. But total when we talk about total public administration roughly contains 280 plus topics. So here topics means not the units, subtopics. In a unit, let's say first unit have 9 topics like that. So roughly about 280 plus or we can say 275 plus topics are there. And what our approach would be? Our approach would be very simple. For all the topics, let's say we are starting chapter 1. So in chapter 1, we have let's say 9 topics. It starts with meaning, scope, significance, Wilsonian vision, and so on. On every topic while studying, our agenda would be to have what? At least 20 to 25 points on each topic. So on meaning, scope, and significance, we should have 25 points. On Woodrow Wilson, again, we have or we should have at least 25 points like that. And for all the 9 subtopics, we'll make this 25 points. And what is our agenda? Agenda is nothing but to what? Understand this 25 points, memorize these 25 points, and write it back on paper. And this we are going to do for all the topics. So by the end of the course, what you'll have 15 to 25 topics on each and every subunit. It's something like, rather than getting fear of what UPSC will ask, we'll prepare ourselves and we can challenge UPSC or request UPSC that, dear sir, we have prepared the optional. Now ask whatever you want to ask. Is that clear? So the approach would be very clear. I hope you understood what we are going to do. First, out of 26 chapters, we are going to take the 9 important chapters at the first place, and out of 9 chapters, for each chapter, what we are going to do, for each chapter we are going to classify the subunits, subtopics. So let's say it has 8 or 9 subunits, and on each unit our approach is what? To have 25 points, like simple. And this will mark the completion of first chapter. Right. Similarly for this also, second will have again 25 points. This would be our pedagogy, or this would be our approach. And what we expect from you, we expect from you to understand these 25 points, write them, read them, remember them, and again rewrite them back in the answer sheet with the help of previous year question papers. So that is the strategy that we are going to follow. See, what I want in simple terms, I want you to remember this 25 points on your tips of each and every sub-unit given in a particular chapter. And I'll make sure you must do it. No ifs and no buts for that. So if you're willing to do that hard work, then only come to us. And this all the points and everything will have a coverage of what? Through a strategy called chart making. So if you ask me what would be the notes of public administration, the notes of public administration would be this 26 charts or 26 page note. That's it. It's not going to be a 300 or 3000 page notes like other optional. It is going to have just 26 pages and pages, or you can say 26 chart papers. Each of the chart will contain what? The systematic table. Let's say the first chapter is intro. In intro, we have 9 units. On each unit, we need 25 points. This we have to prepare. This we have to paste on our wallpapers, or the wall of the study room and all those things. Or you can take a snapshot and keep it in your gallery. While traveling also you have to revise. While studying also you have to revise. While walking here and there also you have to revise. Once you get up from the bed, the first thing you see is the chart only, and revise those things quickly. By practice, it will be a point where you'll be able to remember all the information related with that topic. And that is what we are going to do in our classes through the audio and video recording of you people as well, because some of you are our mentorship students. So gradually we are going to apply this strategy to mentorship program also. That's why we started filtering out the students who are submitting their assignments on time. And then 7th October is the last date for submission for that mentorship program. Tomorrow onwards, we'll be exclusively dealing with those students who are going to what cover this particular part. So that is what we are going to do it in optional also. Is it clear? So this is how we are going to approach as far as our public administration optional is concerned. Another advantage what we have now, this is somewhat expected. We are not sure yet, but this is what somewhat expected, that you all know that initially we had 2 optionals in UPSC mains along with the GS, but UPSC has made some changes. They removed one optional and now we have 1 optional only. So you have to select 1 optional. But you might be knowing some developments like appointment of the Khanna committee by the government, and it gave the recommendation to the UPSC that we should done away with this optional. Right. So they are planning to remove the optional subjects. Just try to assume the situation the day when the optionals would be removed. What will happen? When the optionals would be removed, obviously the GS, which is what? 4 papers now. Paper 1, 2, 3 and 4. Right. These are the 4 papers. Likelihood probability would be there. There would be introduction of paper 5 and paper 6. See, whenever UPSC does some changes, it experiments in some state PCS examination. So if you follow the syllabus of Uttar Pradesh Public Service Commission or a couple of more states where you see they have done away with the optionals. And what they have introduced? Paper 5 and paper 6. So when we talk about paper 5 and paper 6, what that paper 5 and 6 would be tentatively when they are going to do away with that. Obviously, those syllabus which is taught in your LBS, Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration. What is taught there? It would be related with law. It would be related with economic development. It would be related with administration. Public word would not be there, but administration may be there, the current affairs and so on. So obviously, if you opt for public administration, even if the optional goes out of the mains and introduction of two paper comes, then definitely you will have an advantage over other optional student, even if the syllabus changes or even if they are going to do away. And most likely they are going to do it away, just a matter of a year or so, right? So if they do so, at least you'll be on a safe side because administration is going to be there, no doubt about it. It is administrative services altogether. So that is a fourth advantage what you can enjoy as far as the optional public administration is concerned. Then, what is another thing? You might have heard about people saying that a particular optional have some overlapping or advantage in GS also. So the question is, does public administration have that? Definitely. When we talk about public administration, then in general studies paper, you'll find the help of the optional public administration mainly in GS paper 2. So when we talk about GS paper 2, it deals with the polity part. In fact, complete polity is going to be covered in public administration paper 2. So if you study public administration paper 2, I don't think so you need to read the polity because it is going to be in a much more deeper sense. That is the first thing. Second thing, it will also have overlapping in paper 4. Paper 4 is about ethics. So when we talk about ethics, integrity and so on, basically this paper is based upon content from options like public administration, political science and international relation or philosophy as an optional. So some bit of benefit you are going to get in paper 4 also. That is the second advantage. Third advantage, it is going to be there in paper 7. Now what is paper 7? Paper 7 is nothing but it's all about what? Essay. So you can say paper 1 also or paper 7 also, whatever chronology you follow, for 250 marks. Now in essay also, if you see the essay of previous years, generally the essays are not asked from the science subjects. Obviously they are going to be from humanity and from administration or public administration domain, expect at least one essay, sometimes two also every year, no doubt about it. So that is also a handsome coverage as far as the public administration as optional is concerned, and some miscellaneous topics from paper 1, 2, 3, especially which are related with Indian society, social justice and social issues, because a lot of aspects are going to be taught in administrative part also, public administration part. So there you are going to get the help in these papers or these subjects which are segregated over paper 1, paper 2 and paper 3 chronologically. So these are the 5 advantages of why one should go for public administration. See, you have to understand very clearly. You have to see what kind of exam you are appearing for, what kind of optional is going to play a vital role in your pre-entry and post-entry, the availability of resources, right? The distribution of the topics, the allocation of the marks over those particular topics, and so on. So it's going to be short, crispy, and we can say precisely it is going to be what? An option which can be easily read, covered, analyzed within a couple of months. So at Ravi Pathak Academy, what we are doing now, you all might be aware that most of the big institutions, what they do, they charge for any optional subject, right? In the range of 30K to 50K, depending upon institute to institute. I'm not denying that there are online platforms also, learning platforms, which may charge you around 8 to 10K, sometime 12K, sometime 15K. That option is also available. But here, the first and foremost thing what we thought will keep the fees affordable. So affordability is the first concern. That's why we have kept the fees just 4,999, less than 5,000 we can say, or close to 5,000, so that all the students they don't need to pay 30K, 50K, 40K, and so on. And when you talk about what the teachers who are teaching the subjects, obviously when you pay 30K, 50K, somebody like me or our teaching fraternity, they would be associated with that. Is the institute which may be big, the branding may be big, the name may be big, but the teacher concern is the same. Like I used to teach into a couple of previous institutions. So there the institute used to charge 30K, 40K, 50K. But here also I'm going to teach, not the institute is going to teach, right? And that same thing is available at a very cost effective rate. That is the first thing. Right. So affordability part is very important, but it does not mean that the quality would be compromised. That is the first thing. So no compromise on the quality because the same thing is taught here also. And here when we say the quality would be slightly better or improved. Why? When we actually teach an optional subject under a banner, what happens? There are a lot of managerial constraints, the time limits. You have to complete the optional in that particular number of hours. We may have to skip some topics. If we are explaining, we cannot dictate because we will consume time. But here, since this academy belongs to us, our whole team is there, right? So there is no restriction as far as how many hours we have to teach, what we have to take. Like suppose we have to take test series. Now we don't have to rely upon someone to make the papers for us. We can do so. If we have to go for evaluation, then we can evaluate immediately. It's not like we have submitted the answer and then evaluation is coming after 3 months and so on. If we want, not only what we can actually explain the topic in the class, but we can make the dictation also. We can make the students write also. Though I'm against that particular thing because our motto is notes collector to district collector, not to make you notes collector. But suppose I have to make you write something, I can do so. I don't have to worry for how much time it will take, or whether the institute will allow me to take that much time or not, etc., etc. So these are the advantages what you are going to get. Plus we as a team, Rahul is there, Rishabh is there, Aniket is there, I'm there. We all four are going to assist you 24/7. So if you have any query, we are just a call away. You can call us, you can text us, you can talk to us. We also run a free mentorship program that is called Umang. So through Umang mentorship program, you will be anyways connected with us. It's a completely free for GS, and the target is very simple. Target is to make at least 100 plus students to qualify PT. But when we made this target, at that time we thought this 100 students, when they will write mains, what will happen to them? Who will assist them in mains? That's why we thought of we'll request them, this 100 plus students, to take optional public administration. So that the way we are going to work for PT, that is Umang GS program, similarly we are going to work for mains also. Because it's of no use. Suppose we made 100 students qualify PT and they have opted for different optionals. How come we are going to help them? And we cannot rely upon other things like if somebody is doing optional from some other institution, whether they are getting same hand holding or not. So at least we are sure, and if something goes wrong, we will be responsible. So that is what the agenda, what we are trying to do, that if they are going to have the same optional, those 100 students who will qualify PT, if they are having the same optional, at least we'll be able to do the hand holding for them through or till their interview also. It's not that if the student have the other optional, we will not help them. Definitely will help them. But if something comes related with the optional, we might not be in a position to help him or her because we don't have an idea. Suppose somebody comes from anthropology optional and asks me, sir, how to get the answer for this question. How come I'm going to answer? But if somebody comes from public administration or somebody comes from political science, since I know the subject, somebody comes from sociology, I can help them. Right. So idea here is that only those 100 students, who are going to make in PT, and this is for sure they are going to make it in PT. For them, we want to make this particular subject ready for them, no doubt about it. Right. So what we are doing, we are commencing the classes from 13th of October. That is next week, right? And from 13th of October, we ask the student also about the timing and all those things. Some people are comfortable in 9 to 11 mode. Some are comfortable in 5 to 7 mode, right? Some are comfortable in 3 to 5. So there are different time slots which people want. So what we thought, we'll choose either of the one that Rahul, Rishabh, Aniket and I will sit together and decide. So whatever the time slot would be, let's say the class would be from 2 hours to 2 hours 30 minutes duration, because in online retention for this much long hours are very difficult. And in fact, those students who know me, I had never taken the offline class also for more than 2 hours, right? Because it's just difficult to get the attention. After 1 hour, people start sleeping. And in my class, yawning is a punishable, highly punishable offense, or it goes under rarest of the rare case doctrine. Okay, so you're not supposed to yawn. So what we'll do, either of the slots, we'll take the class and we'll make that live, right? So the class would be live, no doubt about it. Plus, the recorded variant or version of the class is also going to be available to the students, those who are not available on these time slots. So they can watch it any point of time. And for that, they'll get the access to Ravi Pathak Academy app also, which we are making. Right. So definitely we'll share the link, and Aniket, Rahul, and Rishabh will help you also to get yourself enrolled on the Ravi Pathak Academy app, which is going to be shortly available on the Play Store as well. So you can download that and probably you can access the class. The validity of class will keep maximum, so that it should not be that, if you miss the class today, you might not be able to see tomorrow or something. Though I was of the opinion that we should not keep the validity, but again, it's the input from Rahul, Aniket, and Rishabh that no, we should keep, because some students might be working, the time slots might be mismatching, or some people may be preparing for 27, 28 exams. So for them, we need to keep some expiry date also for the classes. So that will be there. That will be briefed by our team, no doubt about it. Right. And at last, what we are going to provide you or facilitate you, you know, in our public administration program, as I told you, it's a cost-effective program, but does not mean the quality is down. So in public administration, obviously, we are going to have a classroom program that is nothing but available through online and app mode. Duration would be around 4 to 4.5 months, what we are targeting to cover the whole syllabus. Apart from that, it will have the notes part also in the written or in the PDF form. We'll provide you the test series part also, so that periodically you can evaluate, right? And the evaluation of this test series is going to be done by me only. So I'm going to do this evaluation. That is the concerned faculty or the teacher only, not the content developers or evaluators, so-called the big institutions people themselves. So nothing of that stuff. Plus, obviously, it is going to be a one-to-one mentorship also. That is, we'll keep guiding you where you need to improvise upon. We are open for that. Any point of time you can connect with us and we can discuss the things at length and breadth. Lastly, a cautious note. Those who know me, that's fine. Those who don't know me, for them, please, if you are willing to work hard, then only join this program. Otherwise, don't think so that, 4-5 हज़ार का कोर्स है तो ले लो, इंडिया में फ्री में फिनाइल मिलता है वो भी लोग पी लेंगे. फ्री वर्ड बड़ा खराब वर्ड है, ठीक है. So come here only if you are willing to write around 5,000 to 6,000 answers. एकदम छोटा सा टारगेट है, ज़्यादा बड़ा नहीं है. 5,000 to 6,000 answers, right, before writing your final mains answer. तो ये आप अच्छे से सोच लेना, राइट. इतना आंसर लिख सकता है तो आओ, नहीं लिख सकता है तो भाड़ में जाओ, ठीक है. वी डोंट केयर अबाउट इट, बट if you can write this much answers, this is including your GS and optional both, no doubt about it. So GS and optional collectively 5 to 6,000 answers we need to write, and if you do so, we guarantee you the selection. If not, the same thing what we have promised in Umang program, that will refund your fees, though we might not be able to return your time, but at least your cost would be borne by us. Is that clear? So I guess I've taken too much time for you guys as far as this thing is concerned, but don't worry about it. It just because we really, really want you people to work hard, get selected. It's not only about prelims, but it is about mains also, right? So parallelly with prelims, if you can start preparation for mains, then I think it would be a good idea to come out with the flying colors. Okay, perfect. So thanks a million once again for watching. If anything you would like to ask or you have any queries, please do get in touch with me and our team. And as I told you, there would be Rishabh, Rahul, Aniket to assist you in almost every possible way. Right? You might be, seeing a number flashing or popping up on your screen. That's 8920773355. So in any point of time, you can, come and contact with us. You can call us. You can WhatsApp us, right? And we'll be loving to assist you as far as we can. So shortly we'll share the resources also, what kind of resources you need to take up for public administration. Not many books are required, hardly we need two, three books only to read. So once the enrollment process is over, we'll start the classes from 13th of October. So looking forward to see you in the wonderful intellectual learning experience as far as Ravi Pathak Academy is concerned on 13th of October. Right, till then, take care. Have a great day. Bye.